This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Eric Dawson. Well, this is not just another episode. This is Tuesday, and we all know what Tuesday is. Tuesday is Deidre Viney Day, so it's not just another episode of the Eric Dawson Show. It is an episode where, hopefully, for those who are conscious and awake, they can get information about how to begin in this age of COVID-19 where millions of jobs are being off-ramped, how they can look to secure a future for themselves. And my hope is that during the show, people share it, invite other folks who are in need of job opportunities or career path changes, all the other kinds of things that we talk about here on the show, that you invite people to tune in so that they might be able to take part in the discussion and gain some useful information.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning. Morning.
So what's the word? How's it going, Deidre?
It's going good. You know, it's fall is in the air.
You know what, isn't it? Like, I mean, goodness, I got my shorts I put away.
Yeah.
You know.
It's time to turn the heat on soon, it feels like.
No, I can't do that. Too expensive.
Well, for me, it was time to turn the air conditioner off.
Yeah. Had the window open last night, had a blanket, like a comforter on. It was crazy.
Yeah, so it's been, I love fall. It's one of my favorite seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I like sweaters and boots and, I'm excited about cooler weather. But also it's back to school time, so that's been very interesting as we have virtual learning for our children. So, yeah, should be an interesting time for the next couple of weeks.
So how's that going? When did back to school start for you?
Yesterday.
All right. So yesterday was your the first day. Now both of your children still school age?
So far, they've got like half days this week.
Uh-huh.
Just to kind of get used to the technology and the teachers and whatnot. So far so good.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's interesting because some school districts are in person. I'm starting to see bunch of other people in different, in towns next to us that have in person. So should be interesting.
Well, New York just closed the school, right? They had it open and they just closed it. And I heard that, my cousin is a teacher in New York and the union is up in arms and everything. It's a mess. And you know what it is for me? I wish that they would just keep them all closed. Because there's a lot of uncertainty with the students, with the parents, with caregivers about what's going on. At least if you said, you know what, we're just going to close them all. We're going to keep them closed until such time that these COVID numbers reach this level, right? Then everybody is clear on what's going on. You may not agree with it. It may be inconvenient to you, but you will make the necessary adjustments for that period. But if you're, like you said, you have some schools that are open, some schools in person, some that are doing virtual learning. And then like the school in New York where parents were all set to send their kids off to school. And now all of a sudden the school is closed because some teachers, were found to have contracted COVID-19. And now those parents have to figure out another solution, right? And then the kids who might have been all set to go to school, now they've got to figure out something else. And so just this constant, unsteadiness, I don't think it's good for anybody. I think it's just going to create a lot of anxiety.
No, I agree. The uncertainty is definitely a challenge. But, that's how decisions are made, and it's made on a local level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's kind of one town can have one thing and another town can have something completely different. A private school can have one thing, a public school can have something else. So it's really, yeah.
Yeah, but I would love to see, and unfortunately, and I put something on my page the other day, which create an uproar. I wish the general public would be on one accord with respect to what's going on. And we wonder why some countries are faring better than we are. It's because they're listening, right? They're listening to science. They're, doing the things that they need to do to protect one another and not be individualistic in this thing that is impacting our entire communities. And I think that if individuals were on one accord, then they would force the government to respond accordingly, right? But because, over here you've got, some folks believing it, over there you've got some people not believing it, some people believing masks you should wear, these people don't think you should wear them. These people think that COVID-19 is a hoax. These people don't. And then you have those people are all a part of the electorate, right, that made up our government by the way that they voted or didn't vote. And so now the government locally, is responding to their constituency. And so it just shows how fractured we are when it comes to some basic things around communal living.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's really, really a mess,
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah.
So.
So let me ask you. So even if they did have in person, would you send your kids to school?
You know what? I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually would have.
Okay.
I would have, because I know my kids, and we've been out, and they've been very good about, keeping their mask on, keeping their distance. They have, they got it. And we've had those conversations, and they miss that social aspect, which is the part that I'm most concerned with being behind the screen all day for the next couple of months.
Well, they have showed some reports of younger people, younger children having some issues with it. But the big problem, one of the things that Eric mentioned, is not being on one accord. And I'll discuss one of the bigger discords that we're having with it later. But the true thing is the anxiety of us knowing. We don't know when this is going to end. And that gives a lot of people anxiety.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
once we get information that we can all live with and that we can move on one accord.
And I think I just saw something yesterday. They said we're not all going to be vaccinated until 2024.
Right.
2024.
Right. So, but I want you to understand this. We are creatures of habit, right? We are routine people. We are social folks as well. And so those two things being interrupted, my question is, and I talked to you guys about this earlier, right, before we went on air, that I have these, anxiety attacks, and, I deal with anxiety and some other kinds of stuff that I work through on a regular basis. But I recognize it. I lean into it, and I work on dealing with it. There are a lot of people, guys, out here who are dealing with those kinds of things, and they don't recognize them as such, and then they don't deal with them accordingly. And so not only are they dealing with it, but everybody in their circle, immediate and extended, are impacted by whatever anxiety and stressors that they're dealing with. And so if we say that we are creatures of habit, and that we are social creatures, which is what you talked about regarding your children, right, Deirdre? They miss the social aspect, and I see that Jennifer Brooks put in here that that elementary school children should be in school. They need to be socialized, right? So we understand that, and now if we are denying that, what is the adverse impact of that? And then who is focusing on that? So yes, focus on the education, focus on the other stuff, but now we've got another issue that will arise as a result of what we're going through, and I fear that nobody's paying attention to that.
Well, it's not the fact that it's the fact of we're restricting what we've already created. Being creatures of habit, we have now fill our children's schedule with everything, everything. Football, dance, gymnastics, SAT scores, everything in school. So we have put our children in these social schedules, and now, because of COVID, those schedules are gone. And that's what's causing a lot of, well, being creature of habit and muscle and mind having memory, people are now missing it. That is the big thing. One of the biggest things to make it secure with it is understanding that if we work together, this thing won't last long. And yeah, vaccine, they're talking about 2024?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's way too long.
And then I don't want to belabor this because we'll have this conversation in the second hour. In fact, let us hold that. Okay, we're gonna pause on that, and then we'll get back to the whole vaccine 2024 thing. What that means for us generally as a society, and specifically what it means for Black Americans. But anyway, Deirdre, let's talk about the stuff that's going on in your space of employment.
Yeah, so Express is busy. We've got a lot of jobs, and as I was saying earlier, I was a little, stressed. Not stressed is the wrong word. Looking for people. We've got jobs, and we can't find people. As crazy as that sounds. So I'll post them up into the chat later. But today I wanted to talk about, and I kind of alluded to it last week with changing careers.
Mm-hmm.
And if some folks are thinking of different things that they might want to do, just kind of want to give you a couple steps and things to think about as you kind of might be looking to delve into thinking of doing something different. Every couple years, I talk to so many different people that want to change careers and what should they do. And so I think step one is kind of understanding, if you're unhappy somewhere, what kind of things would you want to do? So could you look at some areas and skills that you've developed over the years that you can kind of lean on those and look to do something different? Are there kind of some values or some interests and different things you might have in your tool belt that you can think of to say, all right, I need to try to kind of shift careers now and look to do something different? Because, as you know, and I know we talked about this topic a long time ago, I just want to kind of dig back into it. There's so many transferable skills all over the place. And if you kind of think about it, when you're, if you're a manager of one place, surely you can be a manager of another. Sometimes there's an industry that you can probably really well, and you want to go into a different industry, or there's a function that you've done. You can change that same function and go into a completely different industry. And what does that look like? So if you're kind of evaluating what next steps you might have, the first step is to kind of do that inventory of yourself and sort of see what kind of things you might consider and what things you've done that may add value to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So there's lots of different careers out there. There's lots of different ways that you can kind of start talking to family and friends and networking to consider some alternate careers that you might consider. You can always work with a counselor. There's people out there, professionals, that can guide you. Again, but you're going to start. You start with that first step, which is going to kind of separate your skills and your interests and seeing where those lie, so that you can kind of figure out, all right, what can I do with this? What other places are applicable? I know a couple weeks ago we talked about the resumes and putting the resume together, and I think I had mentioned to you guys I wasn't really a big fan of a functional resume, but I think a functional resume is helpful when you are looking to change careers, because a functional resume highlights just that, functions that you've done at different jobs, and then you'll highlight, where you've done it, what jobs you worked at. I've worked at ABC company for 5 years, and I was a manager. I worked at this company at this, but the top part of the resume will list all those different functions that you've done at ABC company, XYZ company, whatever company, so that a company that can see and how you might want to change into a different path, and see some of the sort of key things that you've done and skills that you have, that you can plug that into a completely different industry, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's a really hotbed button where to change careers, it's not easy. It definitely takes some navigating. So I'll stop there and I'll answer some questions, and then we can go a little bit deeper.
Well, but it does take some, and I think it takes a degree of real understanding. And so you were talking about enlisting professionals to help. I think that, well, firstly, I got to tell you, given the unemployment number, right, and I know whatever the national number is, when we talk about unemployment in the Black community, in the Hispanic community, those numbers are typically higher, right? That you say you're having trouble filling jobs, so that's concerning to me. And then maybe some of it has to do with the fact that folks don't know how to how to properly change career courses, right? So they've been used to doing something for such a long time, they don't see where there's overlap in skill sets and where they may be valuable in some other role. But this is where an expert can look at your resume, look at your job experience, and then say, hey, listen, I know you've done this for X number of years, but in this industry, these particular skills are very, very valuable. In as much as people want to try to do things themselves, whether it's writing their own resumes or their cover letters or doing enlisting somebody who's an expert can be a great benefit. I mean, there's a cost attached to it, but there's certainly a cost attached to you not getting a job too, right? So you have to weigh those things and then figure it all out. But being stressed about how to pay bills, being concerned about being evicted from your apartment or having your house foreclosed on because you don't have a job, and then worried about having to pay somebody on the front end who can help you go get a job. Sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do that so that you can take care of the things on the back end.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different, there are people working, and there's no reason why you shouldn't still kind of keep your skills fresh, keep out there looking, and keep kind of pushing forward if you do decide to change careers or even just change jobs. Because sometimes there's a whole inventory about if you're unhappy at a job and what does that look like. If you can't get out of bed in the morning, hate your boss, and all those kind of things. So, you might want to consider just kind of peeking at what's out there. Yes, The economy is not the best, but there are jobs out there, and there's lots of them out there. Obviously it's all over the spectrum. Depends on what you want to do in particular. But I wouldn't give up and be unhappy at some place if you can consider, some other options. But like I said at the top, is that changing careers completely, it can be challenging, but it's been done, and it's been done very successfully by many, many people. You've got folks that might go back into, they might decide to go back to school and be a nurse, or they go and get to do coding, or they go and do medical billing. Like, there's so many different areas that you can consider if you kind of think about and look at, what you think makes sense to you. So now, with that, kind of considering other job careers, one of the things that I suggest is that you try to do like an informational interview for someone that's doing that job now. So informational interview is just that. You're just kind of trying to gather some information for what they've done, what they're doing now, and why they like it, what they don't like about it, some aspects of it, because that might give you a small window into that world. And you can start with friends and family on that. You can start with your, alumni network if you went to a university, and I always kind of try to pitch LinkedIn too. But I would start close to the best for those informational interviews, because then that can give you some great ideas of if you think that's a good fit for you. Instead of just going in there saying, okay, that sounds like a good role. Like, we like to do what's called a job shadow, even here at my company, where
you guys, hold on, I'm doing an interview. I'm going to put you on mute.
So if you did a job shadow day where, even for a day or two, even half a day, where you can actually spend a couple of hours shadowing someone that's doing that job that you think you want to do, because there's nothing like going into something and then finding out, oh my goodness, I don't like this at all. So if you got, paired with that informational interview as a job shadow, those two, I think, will give you a good idea of the job, and if you're asking the right questions. And so it comes with some preparation. It just can't be, I'm going to show up.
Right.
Preparation would be having some really detailed questions about their day and, particular things, little nuances that might bother them, or, whatever you could think of. I mean, every particular career has got lots of different things that they do and they don't like to do, and what does that look like? So I think if you took the time and really, kind of married those two things together, you can get a good snapshot.
Yeah. Well, we talked about months ago about internships, right? And you're never too old to do an internship. And I don't know if it wasn't really a career path change, but I guess this had to be about 28 years ago now, where I was working for the city of Newark, actually, as a designer, and they had a budget cut. There were, I guess back then, if you go and trace, there were some problems with the economy, and governments were cutting back and people were cutting back, and so I lost my job there with the city, and I had to try to figure it out. Right, I had a young child. She was 2 years old. I was married, had a mortgage, and what I decided to do, because I had only had governmental kind of design experience, and as I was looking through the want ads, right? Remember the want ads in the newspaper? I was looking through the want ads for a job, and everything now had started to shift because of technology, right? Computers, desktop publishing had become a big thing. And I wasn't really caught up on it because Newark was kind of behind in technology. They were still using antiquated methods for creating digital art. Anyway, what I did, Deirdre, is I contacted some of the places that were looking to hire designers, and I said, hey, look, this is my experience, this is my education. I would love to come and intern. I got a call from Forbes, right? I went and interned with Forbes for 4 months. And they were shocked. They said, "You're gonna come here for free? You're gonna get it?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I think that we could both benefit, right?" I said, "I think that there's some things that I can help you guys with, fill in some gaps, and then I can learn some things while I'm here." And I did exactly what you said. I spent all of my time talking to the different designers and other people about what their day was like, how technology changed, how they adapted to the change in technology, all those kind of, and at the end of 4 months, I was able to land a job with Gannett newspaper, right? Which was on 22. I don't know if they're still there. I think it was in Somerville, on Route 22. And I worked there, and then jumped from Gannett, which was also owned by USA Today, and worked there. And then I moved on into publishing. And it changed my whole life. I stayed in publishing for some 15 years before I transitioned out again into a completely different industry, but taking the skill set that I had acquired in publishing into that new career path, and now pursuing entrepreneurialism, taking all of what I learned over my 28 plus years in design, marketing, and advertising. So I think that if you're smart about it and if you have good people around you, right, you can stitch together something, a tapestry that is rewarding financially and offers other kinds of life rewards.
Yeah, so that was another thing too. So, obviously you were in a space where that you recognized that was important, because doing an internship or volunteering or whatever is a way to get that foot in the door.
Yeah.
And and then while you're there, you can navigate around. And back to your point of asking good questions, really talking to folks and seeing, is this something that I would like to consider doing? You can, let's say you were interested in publishing, maybe you might be able to do, you might volunteer for the organization's newsletter that you can publish, and that'll allow you to sort of dig your, put your toe in the water a little bit and see if that's something that interests you. So I think that you got to kind of, think outside the box a little bit, and not just say, I'm going to send my resume because this job sounds good, and even though it's completely different than what I've done before, take a step back and really see what that looks like, from that perspective. You might want to consider going into healthcare, and that's a whole nother world, right? And so if you're going to be able to talk to some folks that are doing that now, that love it, and ask some good questions, or back to the volunteering or interning or whatever you can do to sort of get your way in there. Even sometimes you can do freelance, where you might just do something on a contract basis, just to kind of test it out a little bit and see if that's something you want to do.
Yeah.
So how do we transfer our life skills that is applicable to different positions, yet if we never ever officialize or legitimize that actual skill that we developed, like in being employed in it?
So a life skill, what do you mean by a life skill?
One of the things, piggybacking off of what Eric said, our life experiences in different organizations, we have done things that's not within the job title, but it's another job title going into your actual life skill. That, in unofficial capacity, we've been doing it and for some time. Yet now the position is open and we have the qualification, but not the official title or the official how would you say work history that would solidify the crossover.
So when you say life skill, to me, the first thing that pops up into my brain is like a stay-at-home mom or dad, and all the things that they do. Is that what you mean? And then they're trying to sort of, how does that fit into a regular job, if you will?
Right.
And so that's an interesting one too, because if you think of all the things that are involved with keeping a household together, keeping the kids organized, and all those kind of things, those are lots of different skills if you kind of pluck them out. And what does that look like to be able to go take that kind of skill set, life skill, if you will, to a company? There's lots, and I think that back in the day, there used to be this whole thing where no one wanted to hire stay-at-home moms, and I feel, and then it kind of shifted. They recognized there's a lot of value that they can add to the employer, that they've done trying to just keep the household together and, whatnot. So I think that's what you're asking.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, volunteering, the one thing I do love about individuals that can multitask and maybe work a job and try to do something on the side is just that. If you are looking to change careers, maybe this might be something you're going to do in the evening, or you're going to do on your day off, or you're going to do on a Saturday, where you can kind of dig you put your toe in the water and test it out. just a bit as you are kind of navigating and still keeping that day job and still kind of paying your bills, but kind of still looking around and seeing what else is out there. Now, some positions might require you to take a certain certification or a class. And so in that instance, now you've got to, kind of dedicate some time for that. I mentioned a little bit about healthcare. That's one area where there's lots of different certifications you might need if you want to do something with that, or it might be something completely different, like a technology. And so if you have to take a class to kind of get you up to speed, that's something you're going to have to take your time to do. And you may be working as well. And that can give you a chance to sort of also talk to some professionals in that field too, because hopefully the person that teaches it is obviously going to be an expert in that field, and now you can ask a lot more questions about that. Now you can also join some professional groups that may be in that particular sector, and now you can ask a lot more questions to those individuals. So it's all about the research, and it's all about taking the time and really looking at what this kind of new world looks like. And if you do your due diligence, I think you can be very successful in shifting. Because it is, it's like they always say about networking, it is still building that network and talking to folks that are doing it, and talking to your teachers or professors or whatever, talking to your alumni associations of your college, all these different areas where you can talk to figure out, if this is a good step for you to consider.
Wow. So, yeah, that is true, because if you don't, in my business, if you don't network, you don't get work.
Exactly.
So, I would, for those who don't understand network, can you give 3 fundamental or key things in networking that can help get them employed?
3 fundamental things to networking. I would say start with your nucleus first. That's friends and family, and reaching out to them. That's in that network. Really being specific for what you want when you're talking to people. So, when someone says, well, what do you want to do? It can't be anything. It's kind of, be real specific so that people understand how they can help you. And then just lastly, being able to give as well as get. So when you're networking, it can't always be about you.
Yeah.
You have to be able to give as well to that person, or, and maybe it may not be a job, or maybe it's a different area that in your life that you can help them out with, a painter or, a carpenter or whatever it is. Think about, it's not always just about let me network to get something. Let me network to also give.
Right.
Well, the job market is a good percentage of what you know, but would it be a larger percentage of who you know?
Yeah, you are always building your network every place you look. So down to your kid's school and the PTA, to your friends, to, family that knows someone. And so as you kind of are building that out, it is about who you know. And as the more people that are kind of in your feather cap, that just helps you, as you navigate. If you're using it wisely. Now, if you're going to keep it there and not use it, then that's useless.
So now
you can really take the time and understand who's in your network, and who can help you, but keeping in mind to the point that, find a way to also help, and not just being all, to not just take it, but find a way to give.
You know what I found in building my network? And listen, when I say building, doesn't mean that it's built, right? It's an ongoing thing, right? You're always bringing new people in, and unfortunately, you're also shedding people, right? Folks like you said, Deirdre, who you realize at some point, every time you get a phone call, it's because they want something, right? Because they realize that you may be the most valuable person in their network, or the only person in their network, right? And so if you're expending resources just providing for that person or those people, then that's not healthy. But what I found in building my network is I'm always trying to climb, right? If I look around my network and I'm the guy, the guy quotes, then my network's not strong, right? I want to I don't even want to be in the middle, right? I really want to be at the lower end in terms of strength, right? And I want to have folks who are way above me, and then folks who are moderately above me, and then I want to have some folks who are, and I don't want to use the word below me, but I think you may not have as many resources, right? So I want to have folks who have tremendous resources, then folks who have a few more resources than me. Then I want to have folks, there are folks there who I want to be able to pull up to, right? So I want to be the bridge between them and the people who are moderately above me, right? In terms of resources that they have. And that's a nice network mix for me.
Well, if you're the guy in the network that everybody goes to, you're in the wrong network.
That's right. I'm in the wrong network, man. It's like saying, being the smartest person in the room, right? If ever I find myself to be the smartest person in the room, then I'm scared, right? Because I understand that I don't know everything. And so if I'm in a room where it seems that I know everything, or people are looking at me as though I know everything, then there's a problem, because I know I'm not growing now. Right. And for me, it's always about growing. And I think that, for you guys who are listening to the show, it should be about growing all the time.
Don't forget growing and the give and take.
And the give and
be the one in the network always begging. Asking requests.
Well, because, I used to, prior to COVID-19, Deidre, I knew a lot of people who literally would go to what they call these networking events, not with anything to offer. Like, they had nothing to offer going, right? They went there for the free food, they went there for the complimentary drinks, and they went there to try to suck resources from people. And at some point, everybody knows who those people are. You're like, oh, here comes John again. And if there's a John listening, I'm not talking specifically about you, which is a generic name that popped in my head. But, it's like, oh, here comes John, or here comes Mary, or, here comes, whomever again.
Tell the truth, Eric. They say, here comes this mother.
But no, you're right. And then you get shunned, and people talk about you, and, so yeah, be an asset. Work to be an asset in your network. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You want to be able to give as well as get. So if you're finding something, and it may not be the same exact way, but if there's a way that you can provide value to someone else, then do so.
And you know what?
It could be a small way.
And you know what I found? Remember how I said I like the mix, the network mix of having folks who I can mentor, right? Because if you don't, then that means that you're all the way down at the bottom. And I don't want to be at the bottom in my network, right? I want to be, toward the bottom. Like if you would say 100% down to 0%, I kind of want to be at maybe 40%, right? 40 and 60% above me. Or with more resources than me, and then I want to be, I would hope that I would be a resource to people, right? So that 30 or 35% that's looking at me as a resource or a bridge to resources greater than me is kind of the space I want to be in. But I also found that having those folks they're resourceful. Right, and there've been times where they've climbed the ladder faster than I have, and then they call me and they go, "Hey, listen, you were able to plug me into this, that, and the other," and they were thinking about it or had a perspective that was more creative than mine, and they were able to climb a ladder, and then all of a sudden they went from being in the 39 percentile to being in the 80 percentile within my network, right? And they say, "Hey, Eric, you know what? Thanks for plugging me into these things. If there's anything that I can help you with, let me know." Right now, I'm not necessarily cashing that chip in right away, but I know now that I have somebody who's at a place, right? And here's the other thing that I found in my networks. I'm not resentful to people who are achieving, right? Like, I'm excited about it, right? I'm not envious or any of those things. I'm like, yo, you got it. Go get it. Why? Because if we're all in a network together, then we're trying to pull each other up, right?
I have to say this. Diane Murray has to be, in my opinion, the queen of networking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and look,
We should have Diane give a seminar on it. I mean, that good network.
That's a good point, and I agree. She is. It takes work to work your network, but some folks do a better job than others. And yeah, she does a good job at it.
so I mean, listen, I've got between electricians and contractors and plumbers and all kinds of people. You, Deidre, and some other, all through Diane. Like I could literally go through my phone now and probably a good dozen and a half people in there because of Diane, and all good people, and all good, and all quality people who I'm happy to have be a part of a resource pool, that I can look to for a variety of things. Oh, speaking of,
Yeah.
here she is.
Burning.
What's going on, Diane? Diane?
Y'all just won't let me work, will y'all? I am so humbled to Vincent. However, I must say, if you say I'm good, Deidre is good at working a room. She really is. I've been to events with her, and I turn around, I'm like, where's Deidre? Deidre done talked to 15 people. She across the room. All the way across the room talking to folks. So she's good at networking and working a room. She really is. Now I may get stuck on 3 or 4 people.
And that's why this COVID thing is driving me crazy, because I'm ready to get back out. Thank you, Diane, but I'm ready to get back out and talk to folks, because that is truly what I enjoy doing. And being behind a Zoom is driving me crazy.
Oh yeah, it's driving my wife crazy. She's teaching on Zoom, so we had to increase her studio equipment, the microphones and the headsets, because she's screaming all over the place, trying to get these kids to hear her.
I think we're all screaming using using our electronics. I don't know why we're talking so loud, but we're all talking loud. Because I found myself really screaming. Like, why am I talking so loud? You were talking about networking and stuff like that, and getting jobs. What do you think about, and it just popped in my head, what do you think about people doing videos, like 1 minute, 2 minute videos about that are job seekers, and just putting it out on their social media and stuff like that? Because I remember seeing when COVID first happened, and right at the beginning when people were getting laid off and stuff, there were people that were standing outside with signs talking about I'll work anything, and there was a young man that was literally out, and I want to say he was in LA, just passing out his resume, and he got several job offers. So what do you think about that? I mean, just to be creative, something different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that creativity is a good thing. And times are tough, and you want to be creative, and whatever that looks like. I mean, using the video is definitely a way to be creative. It's all whatever someone's comfort level is too. Some folks aren't going to do that. Same way with networking. Some folks just aren't going to work a room. Some folks aren't going to do the networking part. It's just not in their comfort level. So you got to work whatever is in your comfort level, and then sometimes you got to be uncomfortable being comfortable. If that makes sense. Sometimes you might have to do something that you may not normally would do. You got to try it, even if it feels uncomfortable, because you've been hearing that this networking thing is a thing, and so you might want to give it a try.
Keep in mind, you don't want to do anything that's going to make you a YouTube sensation.
Yeah, no, that you don't want. But I think there's lots of different ways to kind of stick out there if you can, and that's one aspect of it. I've seen people hand out resumes or show up to places. I mean, you can't even do that anymore. But that was another way too. If you're being aggressive when you're looking for work, you've got to just you got to push the envelope a little bit. Particularly if you're out of work. Now, I know we were talking about changing careers today. If you're out of work and you're trying to get another job, you got to think of you got to think about outside the box ways that you can kind of get that work going. And one of those ways might be, hey, let me send out a video of me talking about what I've done and how I can add value to a company. Why not? See what happens.
So Deidre, what do you suggest for older employers that have been laid off or out of work? Like the 45 and older people who have been in careers, been doing what we've been doing 15, 20 years. Now our job has let us go. We may not be able to stay in the same industry. How do we come back and become just as valuable to somebody else or show our value when we're competing with these younger people that have high tech skills and all these other things that a companies are really looking for too? Or
and they don't have to pay them as much.
Right, and they don't have to pay them as much as well. Like, how do you decipher? How do you weave your way through that?
So that is definitely a challenging one. The biggest thing I think you want to definitely do an inventory of your skills, and including software, and making sure you're up to date with those kind of things, because I know that can be a scary time to be out of work and work for a place for, say, 20 years, and now you're back in the field. It might have a salary level that you're looking at, but I think an inventory of what you've done can start. An inventory of what you're missing, pieces you might need to kind of upgrade your skills, and then you need to work that network as best you can. You might need to take a job making a little bit less. Unfortunately, you definitely want to fix your resume that won't they can't, to a certain degree, figure out your age, and that's just an opinion that I have. I don't like to have dates for your university on there. If you have a bachelor's degree, just keep bachelor's degree. You don't need to put every job you've had for the past 25 years on there. And obviously, if it was one job, you can't get away from that. But you want to try to find a way that you can at least get in front of an employer and add value and show the value that you can add.
So let me ask you a question about that, Deidre, because
Yes.
when I was, and you've got a copy of my resume somewhere, right? But when I was, I guess early on, you put the dates, start and stop dates, right? Was a thing that everybody did. And then I started removing them for that very reason, right? Because people would be able to kind of calculate. Well, okay, if he was working here and working here, the guy's got to be around this age, right? But if the concern is you don't want folks to know how old you are, at some point when you interview, they're gonna kind of meet you and they're gonna realize that you're not a 25-year-old. They may not know your exact age, but they're gonna kind of be able to put you in a ballpark. And so I guess my question is long-winded, is do you waste time? Because if your concern is that somebody might be concerned about your age and then you conceal it, but then you go through an entire process and then finally you're in front of them and now you're confronted with the thing that you were concerned about before, which is now they can see how old you are.
Well, if that's a big concern, go to Rite Aid and get 2 bottles of Dark and Lovely Jet Black hair dye and go to your interview.
You know what? At the end of the day, employers are going to do what they're going to do. And you're going to have, I've talked to employers who actually like people that more seasoned, if you will, in the field versus those that are brand new.
Right.
And so you cannot, can't hide who you are. To a certain extent, you can do the best you can to not, to get yourself in front of them. That's the ultimate goal. Just get in front of the employer to show your value and to have that interview and hopefully get the job. But you can't, I think that you can make yourself crazy kind of thinking through all those scenarios for what's going to happen when I get there. When you get there, you're going to just sell yourself. If they recognize you that you're too experienced, it is what it is. I mean, there's going to be, there's companies out there that like individuals that have a lot of experience. You just got to find those.
All right. But there's a reality, even though, you're not supposed to distinguish who you're going to hire based on sexuality or age or those kinds of things, or not sexuality, gender or age. The fact of the matter is, there are companies who, like, they're not going to hire a senior citizen working in a, and they may not say it, but it is unspoken, right? So how do you what do you do? Because that just is real, right? We can sit here and pretend like, oh, you could just go and apply for a job, but you age out at some point for a variety of reasons. One may just be budgetary. I mean, the older you get, the more financially leveraged you are, right? The less you're willing to negotiate on salary because you've got a mortgage. You may have a kid in college or two. You have some other things that a younger person may not have acquired yet, and so that company can negotiate that salary a little differently with them.
Yeah, I mean, age discrimination is certainly a thing, and I don't have the answer per se. My opinion is that you have to be flexible with the pay range that you're accustomed to making. Maybe you might consider what kind of your drop dead number is, just to kind of keep that in your head. You don't necessarily say that, but you're right. There's an expectation that you're expensive. You got too much experience when I can find somebody at half the price with not a lot of experience. But I just challenge people to find those companies that are looking for the experienced ones. And then obviously the pay is huge. So just consider, if you've got flexibility in the pay, that certainly is a help, because you're now bringing so much value to a company, and you may, and if you're not as expensive, that might be something that would interest them.
Yeah.
Deidre, how do you change from one career to another career? I don't know if it's changing a career or changing an industry. What is the easy flow for a change, and what should be something like this? I mean, like an HR position is something you can go in any company. But for instance, maybe a particular a logistics person. Where would they be looking, and how do people decide what is a good industry shift for them that would work with the skills that they know?
I think it's just doing research for what skill you have. Like in logistics in particular, so many industries use logistics. So let's say you were doing one thing at a logistics company, that can transfer into a lot of different industries, because it's so it's so needed. There's some where you do kind of feel like you might be pigeonholed. But like I said at the top of the hour, just plucking out some of those skills, because some of those skills might be useful at this next company that's transferable. And so what does that look like? And I think it's just doing research and digging and trying to find what makes sense to you, what kind of careers look exciting to you. But it's not an easy task. It does take time and effort and talking to a lot of people.
It's work.
But it can be done.
But it's work.
Get discouraged. It definitely can be done. There's people, you talk to them all the time, they've done something for 10 years, next thing they're doing something else completely different. So.
But it's work. I was in Walmart the other day, and what do you call that thing that they have on the that they clean the ice with, the Zamboni, right? I think that's what it is. They have something similar to that in Walmart, and a guy was on it, doing the floors. And I said to my sister, she was in line, I said, how long do you think that job's going to last? Because it just looked like an oversized Roomba to me, right? And so the technology of a Roomba exists, and so that guy's going to be out of a job at some point, right? He's sitting there pretty right now, but 6 months, that thing may be automated. You just, he rides it, it programs where he wrote it, he can get off, they just run the program to do that from that day forward. And so now how does he take that skill set that he has, right? And it may not be riding a Zamboni, it may just be his personality, his ability to get along with other people, right? Scheduling, other kinds of things that he may be able to off ramp from that particular job and then apply it to some future opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bigger issue. Right there, Eric, is positions that might be eliminated.
Yeah.
Or severely reduced because of technology, and that's real.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's kind of key for individuals to, always learn, always be learning, as they say. ABCs, always be learning. Wait a minute. Always be something. Anyway,
always be closing.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was like, what's the C for?
Closing. That's right.
You're in sales. It's ABC. You always be closing the deal.
Yeah. So, but always learn if you can, because you just never know when that automation could come in that particular role that you're doing. There's lots of different things that can be automated.
Yeah.
New Jersey is an expensive place, so I think companies are always kind of thinking of ways to do that. So how can you kind of keep yourself relevant, and what other things can you add value to do, so that you can pivot to a different company altogether. I mean, even when we talked about changing careers too, one of the things you also can consider is that you want to consider staying somewhere at your current place and maybe doing something completely different within that particular company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because they kind of, yeah, exactly, and they kind of know a bit about your work experience and your, what you've added value in one department, and now you can kind of lend that area to a different department altogether, and hopefully do just as good of a job.
Sure.
In finding potential employers that you want to reinvent yourself, what do you think would be good to look at something entry level or look at something managerial that fits into your skill set?
I think you could. I think if it could fit into your skill set and you find a way to sell it, there you go. Always be closing. Sell yourself.
There you go.
And why not? Don't feel like you have to take entry level if you don't have to. But there's some areas where it will be clear that you have to start over. Like I know someone in particular that went back to nursing school, and that's completely, completely 360. And now she's an RN and had to go through all those certifications to get into that field and had to start at the beginning. You know? So.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want, right? Here's the other thing. I look at careers like anything else. You invest in them like you invest in, in financial stuff. And I read and I follow trends. So when you were talking about earlier, Deirdre, positions that will be eliminated because of technology, if you just read, you'll see, like on this show, 2.5 years ago or more, we were talking about AI, right? And then, not that it hadn't already been here, but we were talking about it on the show. And since then, you've seen a lot of jobs that have been automated now. You see, if you go through Stop and Shop and some of the other supermarkets, you'll see robots now roaming in the stores. Walmart now has replaced some of the janitorial duties with robots who are mopping floors. And in Amazon, you have robots who are bringing items to workstations for workers to package. So these things are happening, and if you read and follow the trends, you'll see what kinds of things might be automated at some point. So my hope is that the guy who is driving the thing in Walmart recognizes that's not something that he should look at getting a gold watch retiring from. It's going to end, and he's going to have to figure something else out.
Yeah.
Well, with automation becoming more and more, it's like the auto workers and dealing with the robots in your jobs. What you have to do is, if you see that as a trend, use your creativity to make yourself useful. So coming up or that are available now in repair, coding, adjusting, programming, anything that can help the automotive industry grow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, well, listen. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, Deidre?
No, that was it. Go ahead.
Okay. So I see you. I see you posted your information. Diane always asks, how can I get in touch with you? I know you said at the beginning of the hour that you have a lot of opportunities available. Would you mind just running through a few of those so people understand what's out there?
Yep. So we're looking for an accounts receivable clerk. We're looking for a dispatch coordinator, customer service. We're looking for an account executive. We're looking for a data entry clerk. We always need lots of forklift drivers. So quite a few of those opportunities available. We have some sort of general warehouse work positions available. And we're looking for a concierge cleaner person.
Now, what is a concierge cleaner person?
So it's working in a residential building, and so it has a pool. They clean and they check people in, and they also keep the gym clean and that kind of thing.
Got it.
So
that's one of those slash positions.
Yes, the slash.
Pool cleaner / gym check-in /
Let me ask you a question. On your site or wherever these jobs are listed, are salary ranges listed as well?
They are.
Okay.
Yes.
So, would you give just so people have an understanding of what kind of salaries attached to some of this stuff?
So the general warehouse ones are between 12 and 15 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That concierge cleaner role, I think, is at 14 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We have some recyclable helpers. I forgot about that one. That's at 15 an hour. The office roles that I mentioned, the export coordinator role, that's at 20 to 22 an hour. Data entry clerk one, I think, is at 14 an hour. The AR clerk one is at 16 to 17 an hour. Yeah, 16 an hour.
The account executive?
The account executive is 35 to 45 plus commission. Logistics customer service, I think, is at 16 to 17 an hour for that one as well.
Okay.
So, and we get jobs all the time. So this is kind of what's here today, and it could change tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We fill jobs really quickly, and then we get new jobs in. So we try to keep our website up to date as best we can.
Got it.
But even if those roles don't fit any of your listening audience, they're still welcome to send in their resume. They're still welcome to apply on our website because, like I said, we get jobs all the time. So it's kind of a fluid situation for our current openings.
All right, guys, don't.
Do any of the listeners get preference because they listen to the show?
You can, sure. You need to mention Eric Dawson's show.
There you go.
Go.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Here's the network. This is a big network, right?
Yes, and this has been a big help because I sent a link to a couple of friends of mine who have children who graduated in the class of 2020 high school, and they have listened and they have gotten jobs.
Yeah. Say, get off the couch, guys.
So,
That's right. Get your...
So our jobs are located. They're not, even though my office is in Jersey City, we have quite a few jobs in Newark. We have quite a few jobs in Kearney. We have obviously Jersey City, and then we have jobs in Bayonne, and then all the kind of smaller little towns nearby, Hoboken, West New York. You know what I mean? So don't just think our jobs are here. They're in this vicinity. So if you're able to work in this vicinity, then we should be able to help you.
Excellent.
Well, Deidre, I'd like to thank you for helping spreading that information, keeping people employed, and giving people an opportunity of what to look for when they want to start their new career or reinvent themselves.
Absolutely. Sounds good, guys. Talk to you next week.
Have a great day, Deidre. Thank you so much.
Deidre, when you going to do a tutorial video on that upside down cake?
So it's funny you should say that because now that it's starting to get cold again, me and my daughter are going to get back to our baking. Probably not this weekend because we're busy, but the following weekend.
We might need to make that happen.
All right. Well, let me know. I want to be. I want to be at the top of the list. And wait a minute. I had the pineapple upside, which was absolutely amazing.
My husband's been asking for the rum cake.
That's what I want.
Quite a few times, so that might be my starting one.
All right. Well, keep me in mind. Hit a brother up, Deidre.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye. Man. So, Mr. Squire.
Yes. So I just completed an interview at a Trump rally.
Okay. Where was the rally?
Philadelphia.
Okay.
Constitution Center.
Okay. Did they have masks on?
No,
Okay.
but that's later tonight. Secret Service is out there checking everything out, shutting things down. I guess the protesters are gearing up, getting ready with their slogans. You got some Black Lives Matter that are gearing up. You've got, some vaccinists gearing up. I mean, everybody is kind
So wait a minute. You said this is a Trump rally?
yes.
Okay.
Can you believe it? And this rally is for the undecided black voter.
Ah. Okay. So you interviewed a Black American?
No. I was being interviewed by the news group.
You were being interviewed. Oh, okay. I thought you were interviewing.
That's because you're still a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah, and they asked me about that, and I said, I'm a Republican. I'm not a Trumpeteer. There's a total different thing. That is not. In fact, I'm more the party of Lincoln than I am the party of Trump.
You told them you were. Wait a minute. You told them you were a Republican?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I got the invite. There is like a group of black Republicans, National Black Republicans that I'm a member of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they sent the information out. So, look, you want to see me? Okay, be prepared for what. Don't be shocked in what you get when you request to see me. So, they request that, and that's what they got.
All right. So what kind of questions were they asking?
About the black vote and the importance of the black vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, the problem with the black vote is this. The Republicans up until now generally don't count it because they know they're not going to get it. But since there's this huge void, and he's trying to strengthen his gap, now he wants to go after the undecided black vote. I said, no. Undecided black vote means is generally somebody who is in denial. 1 second. Denial about their situation and who has the sole level of responsibility for us being in this situation. No, she says, well, what about, no, cream and sugar. So she said, she asked me, well, what about all the things that Trump said at his rally and all the black people that he had there? I said, no, he had some black people there at his inauguration, but he doesn't have that many black people in his cabinet. In fact, all the black people that he do hire either die or he fires them.
Mm.
So where is he the president of equality? And he said, well, Trump claimed that he's done more for the black community than any president. No, he didn't. All he did was get Mitch McConnell to push that bill that Obama had for African American colleges. That Mitch held up.
So where's the interview going to be? Is it going to be aired, or is it going to be printed in some publication?
Oh, she guaranteed me it's going to be on the 12 o'clock news.
Okay. So
and I said, listen, what the black voter ought to do is not take this one sitting down. We need to stand up and get out and vote. Vote to better our environment. Vote to better our conditions.
Okay. So
to bring about that legislative equality.
Right.
Vote
no. Yeah, people can. You can post a link to the interview, and then people can watch it in its entirety. Because you and I have fundamental disagreements about, what the Democratic Party has done for the black community. So I'm not going to let you get on your soapbox and Yeah.
I do agree that we have fundamental disagreements, but we do have one thing about the black collective.
We're all black.
There you go, Diane. That's it. That's it.
Well,
Let it go.
and we're looking at
Nope.
progressing.
Nope.
We're looking at
Nope.
progressing
Nope. Nope. Beyond the fact that we all share the same melanin, everything else is up for grabs, and there lies the black dilemma. There lies the black dilemma. We were talking when Deidre was on about, and I said I wanted to table it about Fauci and folks saying that we have until about 2024. I'm going to repeat that, guys. 2024 before a viable vaccine, right? And so when they talk about when you hear it, right, you say, okay, 2024, and what does that mean in terms of the upheaval of our norms, right? What does it mean in terms of our economy, our schools, our ability to socialize, to be the human beings we were born to be? I think when you look at other countries and you see that they have kind of gotten back to some sense of normalcy, right, in terms of the economy, in terms of education, in terms of all these other kinds of things, it's because they're listening to the science, because they are communal thinkers, right, around protecting themselves and protecting their neighbors, and understanding that protecting their neighbors is protecting themselves. We haven't gotten to that yet. We are still in like super America selfish mode, right? How do I, what's in it for me?
Do you think that some of the European countries are ahead of us for many other reasons besides the science, but because of their environment, how their government is run, how they maneuver through other situations?
Well, Diane, I think that a large part of it has to do with the fact that a lot of these other countries start off from the basic premise that they trust their government, right? We don't. And
but when did we not trust our government? Did it start in the beginning of the government? Was it an up and down, a back and forth with government, or do you think it's just the overall allegiance? Always second guess government.
No, we haven't trusted our government since the inception of our government. That's why Alexander Hamilton invented the big three: legislative, judicial, and
executive.
Executive. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
The three forms of government, because that gives a check and balance to each form of the government, so that when one gets out of place, or the others draw them in. That's one of the biggest issues that we have. We haven't trusted our government. Black people haven't trusted our government since what? Slavery.
Well, I don't know about that, because other countries have forms of checks and balances. So I don't think that's it. But I think just the moral code of America is different than what it is of European countries. It's different than when you go down to South Asian countries. Or South America. All of these different countries, continents work differently than the United States when it comes to their population and how information is given out, how people move throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something going on with us as people in the United States that's holding us back from being able to move forward.
Well, I think one of the big things that's holding us back with this COVID-19 is that the information that people have been getting. Other countries have trust the word of the scientists and the data.
Well,
in the United States, that science and data has been tainted.
That could be true, but let's replace COVID with the education system.
Right.
Yeah.
Just infecting different people. Replace it with housing. Same situation.
Same thing. Yeah.
It's affecting different people. So there's something that is continuously connected, that continues to go on here that we can't seem to be able to push past it to move forward. As to when other people say the United States is the best place to come, the land of opportunity, but yet we are so behind, even in China. When they talk about technology, we're behind them. We sent all of our manufacturing. I don't think there's anything that you pick up now that does not say made in China. We don't make anything here. So we're reliant on other countries, but yet we can't get past ourselves to move forward.
Well,
because let's look at a quick evaluation of China's manufacturing and America. China being a communist country means they have a wealth of resources in terms of labor. America being a pro-union country means that we have a wealth of resources, but it's going to cost us a lot of money.
Right.
Therefore, if I can get my product made and shipped cheaper than I can get it made here,
yeah, Vincent, you're gonna have to call back. I don't know what happened.
That was God.
No, Vincent,
So
please call back.
I think even with Dr. Fauci talking about.
Hold on 1 second. Let's take this call. And we'll get Vincent when he calls back. Here we go. Hold on. All right, we got a call. Darren Martin's on the line. What's up, D. Martin?
Hey, Darren.
hey, how's everybody doing?
What's going on, Darren?
Good. Vincent over here talking bad about the unions. Represent.
So, in terms of one of the things you guys are talking about now, the reason why, and I agree with you guys, Vincent and all, about why the government isn't trusted. But one of the biggest problems is our country is not ran by, our government is not ran by the people. It's ran by lobbyists, and the politicians work for them. Darren, before you go, it's ran by a lot higher than the lobbyists. It's ran by the oligarchs. It's ran by big businesses who pay the lobbyists to get in the lobby and sway the politicians. Well, I don't disagree with that, but don't forget, the lobbyists are the ones that frame the whole thing. They frame everything, and they go out there and solicit for it. So that's why I say it's ran by them. The whole framework is put together by lobbyists. It's not put together by those politicians that sit up there with their law degrees and et cetera. It's the framework is put together by all of those lobbyists from the Freedom Foundation and all those other places. We got them in New Jersey, we got them in New York, we got them everywhere. All that is put together by them. So that government is ran by those individuals. Well, okay, so then therefore, because in all reality, lobbyists are just the errand boys. That's all they are. They do what their masters tell them to do. Now, those other groups are, and in fact, the lobbyists has gotten so strong, and you're absolutely right. They've gotten in so many different lobbyists to be able to reach so many people and hide their enmity that we've gotten a great deal of mistrust because of that. I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, we agree. And that's why I think I said on one of the shows we had last year, I disagree when people say that Obama could have done more for black people. Obama had no power. He just had a position. Thank you. He had no power. I don't know why people keep saying that over and over again. Obama didn't lead for black people. How was he going to? He wasn't pulling the purse string. Well, he didn't have, and the worst thing that really tripled his power is that after they voted for presidential election, they didn't vote for the next election. So that flipped the Senate.
So Darren, knowing what we know through politics, do you think that one of the issues with Obama when you say he doesn't have power is that he didn't have the best negotiating skills? Because we've seen people in other positions that have been able to negotiate across the aisle. Perfect example, Chris Christie. Nobody liked him, but he was able to get what he needed to get done. So what is it that we should be looking for in the president to get this stuff done? Because if the president holds a position that holds no power, then why do we need a president? They need to just focus on everybody else underneath them.
It's not.
Don't care what his skin color was, Diane.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Right.
Right.
That's
And
the denominator right there.
And the biggest thing is that we had Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, and these guys did everything that they could to cripple and kneecap Obama on every issue. Even issues. In fact, Obama had one bill that he placed on the table. It used to be a Republican bill, but the Democrats stopped it. So all he did was pick up that bill.
All right, so Vincent, I'm not gonna. So Vincent, so this is the second time you're doing this, right? So first you started trashing Trump, and now you're lifting up Obama. I'm not gonna give you the platform to do that unless you're gonna talk evenly about both parties, right? Because you're lean because you're
Democrat.
no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no,
But-
no, you didn't.
But okay, well, I was just answering his question
Yeah.
to what made Obama so powerless. And the big thing is that we didn't give him.
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah,
help
but
him
but
vote
but
to
right,
give
but
him
but
the
you- right, but you, man, I don't want to go down this path, right? But you can't do so. I'm not going to allow you to say that Obama was powerless, so powerless, right? That he was perfect in where he could be, right? That he had no failings of his own, because that's what you're alluding to, right? No. Yeah, it is because wait a minute, but
things I didn't like.
right, but right. So unless we're gonna talk evenly about them, because I don't want to spend the next half an hour, you talking about what Obama did, me talking about what he should have done. I don't want to do that. We've done that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at Ronald Reagan. The thing that Ronald Reagan's strength was the simple fact that he controls the Senate. And then he started.
Right, but you're getting ready to take this back to Obama. I don't want to do it, Vincent.
No, I'm not taking it back to Obama.
Okay, I want to bet you in the next half an hour, Obama's name's gonna come up out of your mouth again.
I won't.
I
I'll
bet you.
take that bet, but add to the point where his name won't come out of my mouth unless somebody asks me a question about it.
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's like the candy man, Obama.
There you go. Hey, go ahead, Vincent.
Just say it and get it out so you don't have to say it.
But looking at the mechanics of politics is that your president has to have support. The reason that Trump is getting all of this crazy stuff happening is because he has these people who are supporting it and putting up with it, and everybody else is just putting up with it.
Wait a minute, but I want to say this though, right? But let us be clear. See, you can't just wave a wand over that and say they're putting up with it. Trump had no support, had zero support from the Republican Party when he ran. Trump took the entire party. He took the entire party and contorted it to be what his vision was. See, let us not. Right. No. But see, but the way you frame it, Vincent, and I gotta pause you, is like the party was over there ready to support Trump. We gotta talk about, so to Diane's point, the guy who we won't mention when she talks about negotiating skills, right? Trump took the entire party that didn't support him, and he contorted it now to such a place where all of them are bent over with their tails between their legs. What Diane was asking earlier about the guy who we won't mention, why couldn't he do that?
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, Eric. I don't agree with that. Let me just say something, Vince. The reason I don't agree with that, Eric, is because, let's be clear, all that's happening now is what the Republican Party was already, and Trump just magnified it. So Trump didn't do no great negotiation where he took over the party. This has always been a racist country. The party was always racist. So no.
But let us be clear. Right, I'm not suggesting that it hasn't always been, nor am I suggesting that Black Americans haven't always had a knee on their neck, right? So the question I'm asking is this: the guy whose name we won't mention, why was he unsuccessful right, at pulling together those black Americans who have always had their knee under their neck to be in support of him in an outward way now. I mean, then, like Trump has been able to rally this, what we say was a dormant racism that was just waiting to explode when given the opportunity. Right? Why didn't black Americans why do you feel black Americans didn't feel like they had that same that they could have the same courage to step out and step up and claim this country for themselves, and saying that they were foundational to the building of it and all these other kinds of things under this guy whose name I'm not going to mention, right? Where white folks feel like, you know what, now is our time. Now is our time. What happened?
What happened was the guy whose name we're not going to mention again. When it came down to after the presidential election, we did not vote.
No, but I'm asking, but I'm asking the question, right? I'm saying no, we didn't just not vote, right? Why wasn't there a feeling within the black community? What's that? I don't know what that noise is. Is that your truck backing up, Vincent?
Sorry,
there we go. Thank you. Right? I'm asking the question, right? Why didn't the black community go full steam ahead? What was it that prevented us when we had a fearless, quote, right, fearless leader right there in the White House? Why didn't we go, now's really our time? Now we're gonna, we're not gonna go for symbolism. We're gonna go for substance. We're gonna finally tear down. Why wasn't there? So for instance, where you have Donald Trump, who's clearly saying, you know what? No, in California, we're not going to be teaching 1619. We're going to teach the America that we grew up with. We're not going to do this. We're going to do it this way. Why didn't we have our fearless leader saying, yep, nope, we're going to teach about 1619. Yep, we're going to do this. Yep, I'm going to come out on my soapbox and we're going to tear this down, this construct down. Even if it costs me my second term, right? I'm going to talk openly from my pulpit every single day. I'm going to use my Twitter account. I'm going to use my Facebook stuff. And I'm going to finally, because I'm here, I'm going to finally talk about America's knee on the neck of black Americans. Why didn't he do that? Don't you think that doing that, maybe it would have cost... Maybe it would have cost... Let me finish, and then you can answer it.
Okay.
Maybe it would have cost him his presidency and his fourth... But don't you think he would have rallied people around substance and not symbolism? Now you can answer it.
Okay, now, this is true for all presidents. No one does the bulk of their agenda on their first term. It's always on their second term, and that's why they consider it the lame duck. That's when they
got it. So what's your point?
They want to get done during their time.
What's your point?
What happened with that, once again, is that once everybody started realizing that he was making some fundamental changes, the oligarchs started all over him, and they flipped the house.
No, but you're missing my... No. But see, you just fast forwarded past what I'm saying to you. From day one... Listen. No. From day one, I'm asking, you've got the pulpit. You've got that... And this is whether you like Donald Trump or not. Donald Trump has used his Twitter account. He's used his Facebook account. He's used the presidential seal that is affixed on the podium. He's used the White House. He's used it all to further the agenda of the corporation white supremacy. Done. Right? He's done that. I'm asking it like through his Twitter, which nobody can control but him. Right? I'm saying, why didn't that other guy, why wasn't he as overt when it comes to talking about the condition of black Americans, the condition the position that America has always had with black Americans? Why didn't he shake people up?
He did.
I got an easy response for you, brother. Very easy answer.
Get your phone.
Easy answer. The easy answer is the person name who we're not mentioning did not have the vote.
Why do you need the votes to go on Twitter? Wait a minute. Why do you need a vote? Darren.
Eric, he could have talked about it 1,000 times. It wouldn't mean anything. You can't pass anything.
Darren, wait a minute. Wait. Let's start from the beginning, right? So talking about it wakes people up, right? Gets people engaged. Because where Vincent wants to fast forward to is the fact that in the off-year election, people didn't come out and vote. And I'm saying, well, you've got to rally people up, give them a reason to vote other than just hope and believe, right? So you got to show some balls. And what I'm saying is early on, he didn't show any cojones. He didn't come out and say, listen, I'm here, goddammit. They didn't know. They didn't know. Wait a minute. Let me finish. They didn't know what they were getting, but I'm here. Right? And I don't know how long this gonna last, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. I'm gonna expose all this shit while I'm here, because they can't do anything to me in the next 4 years. I can get behind this pulpit, I can command the media to be here whenever I want them to be here, and I'm gonna talk about how things are. Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he set the tone?
You know what? That's what Black America expected.
That's what they expected. So that ain't about policy. So let us be clear. That ain't about policy. That's about attitude. To say, you know what? I'm going to tell it like a T.I. is. And he didn't do that. He sang Al Green. He gave us the wink. He put on a fancy fucking suit. He did all of those things. Tell me that I'm not making it up when I say I'm a Black American that has America's knee on my neck. He didn't do that. Facts.
Well, I think he did do it when they talked about his college professor being pulled over.
Oh, God, Vince.
Talk about that did happen.
Oh, so you're going to give me 7 instances. Wait a minute. Hold, wait, Diane, he's going to give 7 instances.
Told him to disregard his minister, too.
So Vincent, you're going to give me 7 instances where he did it? I'm saying Donald Trump will sit there and throw out in one day, Donald Trump throws out more tweets that incite folks to or emboldens them in their white privilege, right? He does that in one day than I think the guy we're not gonna mention did in 8 years. In 8 years.
I agree with that.
Right, and I'm saying.
Because he did. But Eric, here's the one thing that a lot of people have to understand, okay, is that he is still him. And not everybody does what you want them to do the way that you want them to do. He ran it his way.
Oh, no doubt.
That you wanted it.
No, he did run it his way, and I disagree with the way he did it. I wanted a guy who was going to literally just stand there and say on a regular basis, look, you know what, if he would have, see, and I'm telling you, Marianne Williamson to me, from the beginning, right? Here's the issue, guys. Here's the issue, and here's why I'm the only Black president so far. Because there's a more turbulence within this country that needs to be addressed, right? So I'm here. I don't want y'all to think that much has changed, right? I don't want y'all to think that we're in a post-racial America, right? I want you to know that shit is still fucked up here. I want you to know that y'all still gonna get pulled over. I want you to know you're still gonna get discriminated against. I want you to know that you're still gonna, I want you to know all of these things are gonna happen. I want you to understand that. See, that's what I wanted. See, wake him up, shake him up. Don't make me feel comfortable, right? Because you are on that television screen, because that's what the corporation white supremacy wants.
You wanted him to talk about the elephant in the room. That's what you're saying. You wanted him to talk about everything that everybody already knows.
No, listen to me, Vincent.
You wanted him
Vincent.
What everybody already knew.
Vincent.
That's why you're upset.
Vincent.
Because he did not say that the elephant is in the room.
Vincent. See, now you're trying to minimize what it is I'm saying, right? So what I'm saying to you is this. Just like black folks just like black folks know because they watch television, right? Or let's take before the Cosby Show, right? So black folks knew already that there were no positive black role models, right? So that was the elephant in the room, right? But Bill Cosby talked about it, right? And then when he got on this show, he talked about the importance of it. But people knew the elephant that was already in the room. But the power of his show, nonetheless, right, talking about it emboldened people, right? And so yes, I need you. Sometimes the obvious isn't so obvious, right? And so when we sit and say, well, people should already know that, I'm going, no, dude, I want you, the most powerful dude in the world right now, to say it. I want you to say it. I want you to say America's fucked up. Say it.
Again, you're upset because he did not do what you wanted him to do.
Well, you know what? I know. So I'm gonna go further, Vincent. Well, you asked me. Well, no. So you put. Wait a minute. But you put some. But Vincent. See, Vincent. But see, you can't ascribe an emotion to me and then not have me respond, right? So you say, Eric, you were upset for. So let me explain, right? I'm saying to you that I believe that a lot of black Americans were upset. Don't just say Eric, right? Because the show, right? No. So what I'm saying to you is this, right? That part, right? No, of course, no, but of course, no, but of course, no. So see, this is where you are micro, right? I'm saying to you, this whole issue that we're having around whether Black Lives Matter, this whole issue that we're having around black folks off-ramping their votes, this whole issue that we had about what happened in 2016, is because Eric wasn't just upset. It's because millions of black Americans were upset. And now the Democratic Party is trying to figure out how to deal with all those people who are upset. See, you got to think bigger, Vincent. That's the issue right now. There are a lot of them who are upset. And they can't...
Thank you. Go ahead, bro. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of going down that rabbit hole with him.
Listen, Eric, brother, man. Listen. First of all, let's be clear. When you tell me when was the last time that black people organized and got together and said, we're going to go through this because somebody said this or somebody said that. The last time that happened was the civil rights era, brother. We don't have, we do not have that right now at all, Eric. So let's be clear about that, man. And that the last president coming out and saying Scooby-Doo or whatever he was going to say doesn't mean a hill of beans, because if you can't pass, if you can talk all day till you blue in the face, that is not going to give anybody any confidence. In fact, you got to be able to vote on policy. And
wow.
Eric, this idiot that's in the White House right now is doing nothing but he's fanning the flames of what was there already in his racism.
But Darren, I don't disagree with you. Listen, I appreciate what Che Coulter says in the thread. He said, when that beer summit happened after the Massachusetts police incident to Henry Louis Gates at his own crib, we got a beer summit. Hello, we got a freaking beer summit. What are we talking about? You understand what I'm saying? I'm going, yo, dude, kick a freaking door in, right? You know, like, I don't want to see you shedding a tear behind a podium, wiping your eye. That's not what I expected. And I don't think that's what millions of black Americans expected. Don't freaking sing Al Green to me. Don't sing.
We're not organized, brother, and we have been organized for many years. So no matter what Obama said or didn't say, it still comes down to what laws you can pass, what policies you can put.
Right, Darren, I don't disagree with you on that. But I'm saying.
Here, Eric.
Let me finish. But you're going to interrupt me. Right. So Darren, I don't disagree with you on that. But I'm saying you have to embolden people. Right? So I'll give you an example. and I'm using these local folks like AOC and Ilhan and Rashida, right? And I'm saying they embolden their electorate, right? By going out there and talking smack and saying, I ain't gonna take shit. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna bring it to you every day. I'm gonna take it to Twitter. I'm gonna take it to Instagram. I'm gonna take it to Facebook. I'm gonna take it to the streets. That's what they said. Now, following traditional politics, the argument now is, and because people were in my thread before, well, what policies did they pass? Well, we already know. We already know that in a Congress of over 400 congressmen and women, that the likelihood of them getting in there in that old boys network, that they ain't gonna pass anything, right? Right? But what we do know, I'm sorry?
Eric?
I heard background noise. I didn't know if somebody was talking to me, but what we do know is that by them staying the course, right, and continuing to embolden their constituency, they are able to make monumental shifts in terms of platforms, right, and that hopefully become policies within the party.
Eric, I just don't see that happening, brother. It still comes down to this whole country has been ran and is still ran by the same individual. They don't look like any of us that's on the phone right now, and they control everything. So anybody can go on Huff and Puff and blow the house down and say anything they want to say. They get the last president has done it every day. It wouldn't have made a difference at all, because at the end of the day, he wasn't in control.
Okay.
Wow. I think that's such a cop-out, D. I really do, man. I think that you have to build the building blocks, right? And we're clear now that the building blocks were not one block was put in place. Not one, because the house came tumbling down when they tried to install Hillary Clinton, right? They believed on emotionalism that it would carry the day and create another 4 years after the 8 years of Obama, and it collapsed. It collapsed.
Here's the thing on emotionalism.
Wait a minute, did it not collapse? Did the house not fall completely apart?
I'd say that the Senate fell. The House is together.
No. When I say the House, I'm saying no. See, Vincent, think bigger. I'm not talking about the House. What I'm saying to you is this: in 2016, it all fell apart. Right? What they thought they built, fell apart. Right, in 2016, because they believed that those black folks were going to come out and vote for Hillary. They believed that. They believed that they had done enough with that guy.
No, Hillary believed that those black folks were going to come out and vote for her. Obama and Clinton told her no.
Well,
and that's even in her books.
Where we're at now is what we need to be concerned about, because moving forward, regardless of whoever wins this election as the president, you still have a group of people, black people, a group of white people, who are still fighting against each other and still don't want to give equity to one another. So what are we going to do moving forward? Because the president, if you guys are saying the president didn't have any power,
right,
you're still not mentioned, but this one took power,
right,
what's going to happen with the next election?
Well, Diane, you know what? You hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head, Diane.
Diane, here's the thing. I don't believe that he took power. I believe that he purchased.
All right, I'm not gonna play semantics. Okay. We got another caller. Caller, go.
Yo, Eric, what's up, man? How you doing?
Will Hathaway.
Will, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I hear all this conversation going on, so I'm gonna throw my 2 cents into it.
Let it rip.
Quick. So 2016, Eric, okay? Hillary Clinton was running for president, right?
I think so.
Okay. So you're talking about the building's been falling down ever since Trump's been in office.
Well,
when he shut
all right.
the government down.
Well,
the buildings falling down when he tried to take our health care away.
Well,
the buildings falling down with the coronavirus.
Well,
here back in January.
Well, I'm talking about.
And he didn't say nothing about it.
Well, I'm talking. Well, the conversation was about. Right.
Because he doesn't like to say things that he actually did.
What was the conversation about?
So the conversation was really around the president who we're not mentioning, and when I was saying that the thing was
I know.
Right. When I was saying the thing was right. When I was saying the thing was falling apart, what I was saying was it had to do with the conversation around whether or not he had power or didn't have power or. And so I want to stay on. Wait, Will. So I want to stay on that for a second. I want to stay on a point that Diane made, which is this: if we concede, if we, and I'm not going to, but if for those who want to concede that Obama in 8 years had no power, so he couldn't do anything, he was powerless, and now Diane.
I'm sorry. 6 years. 2 years he did have power.
Okay. Right. Yeah. And so then Diane says, well, and I agree with her here, that Trump seized power. Vincent, you say he bought it, whatever, right? I'm going, well, where are we going to go? Where do you think the power shift is going to be, right, if we uninstall Trump and install Biden?
The conversation is this,
Nope, I asked the question. Nope, I just want an answer to the question. I want an answer to the question. If we say that for 6 years, I'm gonna go with what Vincent said, because for 6 years we had somebody who was powerless, right? And now Vincent doesn't want to concede that Trump has some power. He wants to say he bought it or whatever.
No, he has power.
Okay, so my question to you is this: so you uninstall him, we install Biden. Where's the power?
I mean, the power should be for the people. The power should the people, okay, that are going to vote in this election, okay, which Trump is trying to manipulate with the mail-in ballots, have the post office not count the ballots, whatever it is. It's the people that has the power. The people are supposed to have the power, right? But the people in Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, they kind of went with Trump because they were promised jobs, they promised all types of stuff. Like Diane was saying, it is whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
All right, I didn't get the answer to my question, Will. Thanks.
Well, here is the trend of power. Now,
okay,
if we actually say that that Biden wins, you will now see the Senate will actually flip, and the House will actually strengthen. Looking at the trends of African Americans when they vote, a majority of them don't pick down ballot. They just go Democrat.
Well, Vincent, here's my view. And I don't know who doesn't like it, and I can care less who does like it. Okay, but the bottom line is, this is gonna tell the true story. This election right here is either gonna have the power shift towards Trump, or the Democratic are gonna have more power. You know what I mean? But this country, since Trump has been in power, okay, it's screwed up. He destroyed it. It's up to the people. We're gonna see who's gonna. We all talking about Democrat, Republican, right? It's gonna be up to the people. I mean, let the people decide, and that's the way it is. If they want to F up government and keep it forward, okay, because Trump knew about the coronavirus. He knew, what he said it was a fake virus. Now people are dying every day of our lives.
He knew how deadly it was. He knew that children were to be the biggest carrier.
He knew. As a matter of fact,
and he knew that it affected people of color more.
Listen, let me finish. Not only him, our elected officials knew what the hell was going on because they want to control the people. Like I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today. Why? I say to him, I said, why are you allowing the government to control you? The government should control nobody about the mask and all that kind of stuff. We know what the capabilities of the virus is. It's killing everybody every day. Either you wear the mask or you don't wear the mask. your ass is going to be on a ventilator in a hospital breathing. You can't, and you'll die. You know what I mean? Like kids in these school systems, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why the hell are you considering, about November, December, January, it's going to be better, right? And all of a sudden these cases are breaking out in these school systems. Do they really care about you?
Heck no.
Do you think Governor Murphy really cares about the people, about these kids? And he does, in a way, but 2021 is coming because he's running for re-election himself. So these politicians are going to try to make themselves look good. And all these cases are popping up with the coronavirus from Chatham, New Jersey, up in New York City where teachers are scared to go in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man. Either you vote for the guy or you vote for Biden. That's the case what it is. And as far as African Americans in this country, they're bombarded by the police, treated disrespectful. And I'm a Caucasian, and I'm going to say what it is. It is what it is, man. If the police are killing African Americans more than white in America, and that's what it is. So
Exactly.
we don't have to politicize it. We don't have to politicize it. It is what it is.
But we don't have to vote for someone who fans the flame to increase that injustice.
I mean, listen.
All right, so now y'all on the Trump bandwagon again. Y'all on the Trump bandwagon. All right, listen, we got 2 minutes.
Will, have a good day, man.
All right, I'll talk to you guys
There we go.
tomorrow.
All right,
There we go.
All right.
Well, with the last 2 minutes, there was an article that was in the paper, and it talked about our favorite person, Candace Owens.
Oh.
And the article went on to talk about how she went on her Twitter page and blasted LeBron James about the police shooting that just happened. So I'll put the link inside the post in the feed. It's funny how these articles, because there was a discussion in my page some days ago about an article that I put up about Kamala Harris. And people didn't like the article and they said, why would you put this up here? You know, it's so slanted. You know, something from the New York Post, everything they put up is leftist and all of these different comments. And I said, well, you know, you have to read articles from all over the place. The majority of these articles have a lot of people's, the authors' opinions marinated inside the article.
Yeah. Well, here's the last thing I'm going to say about the Candace Owens thing, and then, Vince, I want you to take us out. When she made the comment that if LeBron James is suffering, she wants to suffer like him. I want you guys to think about this, because when we talk about macro and microaggressions, right, we talk about psychological impact, right? So she wants to minimize all of that and talk about the money LeBron James is making, right? But money doesn't mean you're not suffering, right? We saw Robin Williams kill himself, right? Hang himself. So he had money, but he was suffering emotionally, right? We've seen other people who have money commit suicide, do other kinds of things because they were suffering emotionally. So Candace Owens, as pretty as she is, she's a dumb one, right? You know, you know, no, I don't know what LeBron James' suffering is, right? I have no idea what his suffering is, and I wouldn't want to have that burden my life. I would just wish him well through his suffering. And I'll continue to pray for our dear sister Candace Owens. So with that, Vincent.
Well, another reason why this is the fastest 2 hours is during the day. The topic, the conversation is passionate, it's insightful, it's intellectual. I am glad to actually be here and to talk to everybody and their opinion. It has made me a better person. It's given me a lot more insight, as I hope it's done for everyone else. I'm Vincent Squire on behalf of Eric Dawson, the King of Cobbler, and Diane, the Queen of Streaming Media. We like to say.
No, don't forget Deidre.
Oh, yes. And let's not forget the networking queen and job recruiter specialist Deidre Viney. We like to say, be safe, keep your distance, wash your hands, wear your mask, gloves if you need be. But most important, read the issues of the politicians. Get out and vote.
Yeah.
The more that we vote for change, the more things are going to continue to stay the same. And if it's God's will, we'll all be back tomorrow to express the views and opinions that affect our lives. Be blessed. Bye-bye.